NASA has finished assembling their $18.6 billion space launch system named megarocket ahead of its maiden voyage this November. This megarocket will fly astronauts back to the moon over the up-and-coming decade. SLS is set to launch for the very first time later this year in November, which will send the Orion capsule on an uncrewed jaunt around the moon, which is the SLS's first part of the Artemis mission. Engineers working in Kennedy Space Center in Florida have finished lowering the 212 feet tall core stage between two smaller booster rockets this Friday. This is actually the first time the core stage and two boosters have been together since 2011 when the project was announced. Teams of experts in Florida had to use a specialized crane to lift the 188,000 pounds core stage in between the twin solid rocket boosters to complete the launch configuration. The complete setup now sits fully assembled on the mobile launcher inside the Kennedy Spaceport's iconic vehicle assembly building. The 212-foot-tall core stage, which will provide more than 2 million pounds of thrust at launch, arrived at Kennedy on April 27. The massive core stage houses propellant tanks and 4 engines to provide the thrust necessary to get the heavy payload off the ground. Together with the 2 solid rocket boosters, the SLS rocket will provide more than 8.8 million pounds of thrust to launch the first of NASA's next-generation Artemis moon missions, with Artemis 1 launching in November this year. Artemis 1 is the name given to the first test flight of the next-generation Orion crew capsule that will take astronauts to lunar orbit ahead of a landing. Now the core stage is in place with the boosters, NASA will integrate other elements of the rocket needed for launch preparedness testing to begin. These tests, to be carried out inside the VAB, are required before the Orion spacecraft can be added and the vehicle can be moved to the launch pad.